Shalom, everyone. This is Shamir. Long time no see. Today we're going to talk about Joseph and the bondwoman, which an examination of Genesis, a brief one of Genesis 39:17 in light of 21:9, and just looking at word usage actually. My little pen going up. I already have it. Oh, good. Okay. So the word that connects these two narratives together is sachak. Connects the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife with the narrative of Hagar and the Egyptian slave woman and Sarah, actually, that episode. So we have Bereshit 39:14 or Genesis 39:14. Here we have the Tikra le'anshe Veta. So, and she called to the men of her house. Vatomer lehem, and she said to them, Lemor, and she spoke to them, Lemor, saying, Re'u hevilanu, so see, he has brought to us Ish Ivri, so a Hebrew man, lesachek, to jest, or I know some of the translations say to laugh at, but it's just to make a mockery of. So Joseph becomes the undesirable one that um, that is being accused of making sport um, of them, of us. So in this verse, she says, "Lanu," of us. Uh, Banu ba came to us. Banu ba elai lishkav imi, to lie with me. Lishkav imi. Va'ekra bekol gadol, and I called out with a great cry, bekol gadol. So this is her account of what has taken place. Okay, so then we go to verse 17. V'tedaber elav kedevarim ha'eli, and she spoke to him these things. Lemor saying, so here she's repeating the story, but this time she changes it because remember before we saw that she called him Ish Ivri, so a Hebrew man, and she said he brought to us. In this verse 17, she says Ha'evid Ha'ivri, so the Hebrew slave. So now he's reduced from just being a Hebrew man to now just being a slave. Asher Heveta, that you brought Lanu to us, lesachek bi, to jest or sport with me. And that's Bereshit 39:17. That Joseph becomes the undesirable one that is driven out because of lesachek. Here we have lesachek. This is actually an infinitive construct, to make sport or a joke of jest. And then we see that we have that stadi het kuf. And we saw in the beginning of our slide. Yeah, so they say to laugh, but that has to be understood as in a jest or a sport, making sport of somebody. Right, so then we go back now to Bereshit 21:6 or Genesis 21:6. Vatomer Sarah sechok asa li Elohim kol hashomea yitzchak li. So we go back to 39:17 and we see that here she says lesachek bi, to make sport or a joke of me or jest. And then Sarah, after she gives birth to Yitzchak, and his name is actually in here, she says, Kol Hashomea, so everyone hearing, or all the ones hearing, will laugh with me. Um, and then, of course, Isaac in Hebrew is Yitzchak. So his name is played on through chapters 17 and 18 and 21. Sehok is laugh. Vatumir Sarah, or laughter. God has done or made laughter for me. And then again, Kol Hashumea, all the ones hearing, he will laugh with me or for me, or the English has over me. But I would think like Al, on over. Anyway, so a different reaction to Sahak. The wife of Pharaoh uses the word as something that is being mocking, and then Sarah uses the same word as something that will be something that is a joyful occasion. But if we go to 21:9, Vatere Sarah et ben Hagar Hamitzrit. So Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian woman, Asher Yaleda, that gave birth to Abraham, Mesachek. So you see that the name Ishmael is not mentioned here. And then here we have the word Mesachek. Remember, Pharaoh's wife said Lesachek. She uses the infinitive construct. Here we have a participle, Mesachek. It's kind of debated as to what this means. Was this something foul taking place? Was he making sport or jest of Yitzhak or Isaac? Or were they just playing and then Sarah? It seems like something occurred where it immediately brought to Sarah's attention the incompatibility of Yitzhak or Isaac and Ishmael. Here the English did put laughing. Sarah saw the son of Hagar, Terah Sarah et ben Hagar, Hamitzrit, the Egyptian, whom she had born to Abraham, making sport. I added making sport or playing. I don't know if laughing is the best, because then you could just think, well, he was just laughing, so what's the problem? So something perhaps nefarious happened, and so here Hagar's name is mentioned, but the son is not, and you notice that there's never any kind of connection, or you don't see any affection or any mention of Sarah and Ishmael. It's usually just Abraham. Okay, let's go to our next slide, see what's happening. Vatomer la Abraham Garesh, drive out, cast out. You see that in translation, but drive out is more forceful. Garesh, drive out ha'amah hazot. So just like Joseph went from Ish Ivri to just Eved Ivri. So you just see kind of the status drop. Here also we see now she is simply Ha'amah Hazot, this slave woman, and that her name is not mentioned. Ve'et Bena, and her son, Ki lo Irash, for she will not inherit or will not inherit Ben Ha'amah Hazot, this the son of this slave woman, Im Beni, with my son, Im Yitzchak, with Yitzchak. And then even with the word Mesachek, right? Metzachek that we saw before, we see it has the same consonant again as Yitzchak. And then so Joseph's plight is similar to Hagar's, where he is falsely driven out, however, uh, from the king's palace and into the dungeon, where he would spend the next 13 years. And then we have a connection in Galatians 4, 28 and 29. Ve'atem achai, and you, my brothers, atem b'nei shavua. So I changed in a modern Hebrew text, really not that great. But I don't like the word promise. And even if you talk to Israelis who know the Bible well, they will say the same because promise is kind of a weak translation. So now you brothers like Isaac, Ker Yitzchak, are children of the sworn oath, because this is the word that God uses, Shavu'ah. Um, so it's a legal binding oath. Like when you go to court and you swear an oath to tell the truth, and then there's a consequence when you don't, or like a curse to the oath. So this is the same, it's a legal binding oath, not a promise. So whenever you see that word, even in the apostolic writings, you've got to remember that this is much stronger, shavu'ah. So you could say legal jargon. U cheshem she'az radaf haben shenolad lefi habasar. And just as that time he was born according to the flesh. Up. Hold on 1 second. All right, had to stop for a minute just because the warning. I didn't actually really look at the English before I did this, but here they use persecuted, and here they use radaf. Radaf is like to pursue somebody or chase somebody. Um, but the idea, just like with Joseph, he's born according to the Spirit and the promise. And so he was falsely accused and falsely depositioned from his place in the palace and falsely thrown into the pit we call the boar, if you read it in Hebrew. While the one born according to the flesh, or the son of Hagar, Ishmael, was rightfully driven out. And this also is a parallel with Esau and Jacob, when Yaakov comes and he makes amends and presents his mincha. Mincha, when you hear that word, you think of the Beit Mikdash or the Mishkan, um, because the mincha was brought there, so it's sacrificial gift and a blessing to try to restore the blessing that, or Jacob felt that he would return to Esau the blessing that he had taken, and to receive forgiveness. Ask, he didn't actually outright ask. The gift that he presented was his way of saying this, but then at the end they parted ways because Jacob, and I'm just speculating, perhaps like Sarah, understood or knew the incompatibility of the two, where they could not reside together, uh, because one was of the flesh and then one was of the spirit. One would become one of the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then one really would become an enemy. So, so here we still have this same war that goes on between the one who is according to the flesh, and the one lefi habasar, according to the flesh, and then one that is born or through receiving forgiveness, repentance, and atonement through Yeshua. Again, now born of the Spirit, and then this battle continues of the one according to the flesh or born according to the flesh, trying or attempting to usurp the place of the one born according Shenolad Lefi Haruach, so the one that is born according to the Spirit. Um, and that's it. I think that's all I have to say. And hopefully you guys get something out of that. And Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Till next time. Bye bye.